What's up, Flaniverse? We are back for Monday Night Football, the first Monday Night Football slate of the season. Excited to be here to break down my Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears in Chicago tonight. I'll be breaking it down mostly for the DraftKings Showdown slate. Maybe spend a little bit of time checking out FanDuel as well. Should be a good time. I forgot to switch in my purple flannel, but I think it was bad luck last year. I think every time I wore the purple flannel and the Vikings hat, they lost. So we're gonna win tonight. I'm wearing my fantasy points gear instead. As usual, going to be going position by position, quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, defenses, kickers. At the end, I'll be making some lineups with Run the Sims. I'll take any questions you have. If you want to check out Run the Sims, I actually made a demo on this channel, how I'm using Run the Sims for tonight specifically. But if you want to check it out, use promo code Neil. You can get 10% off any your first purchase of any product at Run the Sims. They have various products that you can check out. Good to see you all here. What's up, Anthony, Marco? Won $35. Nice. Good to see it. Hopefully you guys got in the main contest, the sweat free contest on FanDuel on Sunday. Got some bonus bucks there, free sweat there. Both two Chicago starting cornerbacks out tonight. Love to see that. I'm excited to see the Vikings tonight. I didn't love this matchup. This for JJ McCarthy's first start. As somebody who's a big fan of JJ McCarthy, I think he's actually good. I think he's going to have a good career. But I was a little bit nervous about this matchup to start. Gets a little bit easier. Then again, Christian Darrisaw out, best tackle on the Vikings, best offensive lineman on the Vikings. So that hurts quite a bit. But I think he'll be back next week. I think it's just the field conditions not great right now. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start at quarterback. My guy, JJ McCarthy, $9,000. Pretty nice price there. Now, ownership projections are all over the place on JJ McCarthy. You can see here, Run the Sims has him at 60% flex ownership, 14% captain ownership. It's a little bit less over at Roto Grinders. RG has JJ McCarthy at 44.5% at flex. They've got him at 14% at captain. I like those numbers a lot better. Like those, the numbers that Run the Sims has pretty high there. 60%, 14% for his first career start. Now he's not a rookie. Don't think we can treat him exactly as a rookie, but still, your first NFL start, you're going to have some jitters. So I don't know that I would love him at 74%, even as a mega JJ McCarthy bull. I think it might take him a few starts to get comfortable, but I'm not sure. Like I think that he's really good. He might just have it and might be good from the start. I'm hopeful that he's going to be. I'm going to be playing a good amount of JJ McCarthy. I suspect I'm going to be playing under 74% though. I think I'm going to be mixing in some of the other high-priced options instead. So ultimately, I like JJ McCarthy. I think I'm going to have somewhere between 60 to 75% is kind of my aim for JJ McCarthy. I think he's a really strong play. I think the price is right at $9,000. I just, I don't want to go overboard. I don't want to play him in 100% of my lineups in his first career start. If you wanted to, I wouldn't blame you if you're playing, 20 lineups and you just want to make a bet. If you're a Vikings fan like myself, you want to make a bet on JJ McCarthy. No issue with it. I think he's a really strong play on this slate. I think I'm aiming for, between 60 and 75% most likely. What's up? Love to see all my Minnesota guys in chat. Crutches, talking eliminator. But chance at 10 out of 10 big limbs, that's impressive. I'm one out of one there. But no, we'll continue on. JJ McCarthy, I think you do need to stack him. I am hopeful that he is going to be running more than expectation. So if you look on like pick 6, his line is 16.5 is his rushing prop. I'm taking the over there. I think JJ McCarthy actually likes to run. They've talked about him running a bit. Now he is, of course, recovering from an injury, but I think he's fully recovered at this point. He liked to run in college. I think if he gets the chance, he will take off today. So I like the over on 16.5. I think he will run a bit. With that said, I'm not expecting him to rush for like 50 yards here. I think he's generally going to average like 20 to 30 rushing yards per game would be my expectation for the year. I think that might be more bullish than Vegas is predicting, but I don't think that's enough that I want to play him naked. I think I'm always going to require a stacking partner regardless of where I have JJ McCarthy in my lineup. And when I have my captain, I want to have multiple stacking partners there. Again, this is beginning of the season, so I'll go over the reasoning is the quarterback on every passing play. The quarterback gets outscored by the pass catcher. The pass catcher gets a point per reception. They get more points per yard. They get more points per down. So it's hard if the quarterback is too hyper focused on one pass catcher. It's hard for the quarterback to be the optimal captain. Also, because of pricing dynamics, they're generally among the most expensive players on the slate. So it's difficult for the quarterback to be the optimal captain if they're throwing it too much to one wide receiver. And to be the optimal captain, they obviously have to rack up a lot of yards, touchdowns, etc. So they have to do a lot. Speaking of particularly non-rushing quarterbacks. So generally, if I have a quarterback in the captain spot, I want to have multiple pass catchers in the flex. The one like sort of possible exception with JJ McCarthy would be Justin Jefferson. Like if you just want to play JJ McCarthy in the captain spot and just Justin Jefferson in the flex, it is possible for Justin Jefferson to outscore JJ McCarthy, both to have really nice games because of the price tags. JJ McCarthy is $1,800 cheaper. It's possible that you would need him in the captain spot because Jefferson wouldn't be able to fit. So that is a way to play it. I'm not setting any rules, of course, because I'm using Run the Sims. I don't set those rules. I let the optimizer tell me what's going to work based on the Sims. But generally, if I were using an opto and I had JJ McCarthy at captain, I would require at least one pass catcher, and most of the time I would like to have two there. On the other side, we have the Bears. We have Caleb McCarthy. Now they have Ben Johnson as their head coach. Seemingly a great offensive mind. I guess we will find out if he can do it in multiple places. But I think he's a pretty big upgrade for Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams projected for 57% flex ownership, 19% captain ownership. That is quite a bit at RG. Okay, this is not working. Oh, they just ran an update. But I think he's probably going to be around there. Caleb Williams going to get a lot of ownership. When I ran the Sims earlier on my show, I got to a ton of Caleb Williams. Just looks like a really strong play at 92. He ran for 28 yards per game last year. Should be throwing a lot. And again, it's a retooled offense with a better offensive system here. So wheels are up for Caleb Williams. Not the best matchup with the Vikings. I actually think they are pretty tough. Now, if you look at some of the numbers last year in terms of schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed, actually for quarterbacks was not a great matchup. It's kind of lower on the list. It was better for wide receivers if you looked at the full season, but then if you look at just the last 5 games, they actually got much better at stopping wide receivers. I think that I think the Vikings have a really strong defense, so I don't want to go overboard with my Caleb Williams. Again, he's projected for 76% total ownership here. I suspect I'm going to want under 20% at captain. Probably about where they have it is probably about right. 75% Caleb, kind of in the same range as JJ McCarthy. Honestly, 60 to 75% feels pretty good there. And again, 28 rushing yards per game. I would want to have him stacked up regardless of where I have him in my lineup. And when I have him in the captain spot, I would want to have multiple pass catchers most of the time. Let me get rid of bots. All right, let me check in on chat. Going to move on to running back. I don't know exactly where Thielen is going to run. I don't know if he's going to play that. So when he was with the Vikings in 2022, he was in the slot, I want to say 25-30% of the time. But then he played a lot more in Carolina. He was running in the slot a majority of the time. I'm not sure what the Vikings plan for him because Jalen Naylor also ran the most slot for the Vikings last year. It's Jordan Addison who's out. So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to divvy up slot rotation. My guess is that it's going to be some sort of a rotation. I don't think we're going to have anybody running 70% from the slot, but I don't know. I don't know what to expect from who's playing the slot there. What's up, Texas politics? Both Cappies, Neil. Skull, indeed. What's up, Kyle? Meaning 2 quarterbacks not in captain spot. I'm not understanding. Let's see, Johnson being a massive loss. Yeah, Jalen Johnson is out for the Bears. They're missing a couple cornerbacks. Yes, 2 Neil streams today is right. The Bears cornerbacks. I'll talk about it more when we get to receivers. But yeah, obviously pretty impactful because they have a really good secondary. So the Bears cornerbacks being out is great. It's awesome for the Vikings passing game. I'm excited about it. All right, let's go on. Went over Caleb Williams. I want him to be stacked. Generally going to be multi-stacked when I have him in the captain spot. Let's move on to running backs. All right, so running backs, I'm going to start at the top with the Vikings. I'm pretty excited about the Vikings running game this year. They've kind of geared everything to be a pretty good running team this year. The splits here, so Run the Sims has a projected Aaron Jones projected for 43% flex ownership, 12% captain ownership. Jordan Mason, 16% flex ownership, 0% captain ownership. RG did have it a little bit more, at least as of earlier. They're giving Jordan Mason, let me refresh this, but they were giving him 20, like low 20s in the flex ownership and like 4% at captain. I would be, I'm guessing it's somewhere between, they got him 20% in the flex and like 3% at captain. I think it's probably going to end up somewhere in between these numbers. And I am going to love Jordan Mason here today. So, and I don't dislike Aaron Jones either, to be clear. I think both are pretty strong plays here. Aaron Jones getting, again, like 55% total ownership here. My general expectation for the Vikings backfield, and I talked about this with Adam earlier, but my general expectation is that at the end of the year, I think the expected fantasy points for Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones are going to be about even, like to the point where I think it could be like Aaron Jones's expected fantasy points are higher in full PPR and Jordan Mason's are higher in half PPR. I think it's going to be that close of a split. The coaches have talked about, I mean, they traded for Jordan Mason. They could have just used their draft pick on a really deep, exciting running back class. Instead, they traded a 5th round draft pick for Jordan Mason. They clearly are high on Jordan Mason, and the way they've talked about him, they said, I think he can really help out in goal to go situations, short yardage situations in general. They've talked about it being a 1A, 1B situation. They say that they think Aaron Jones is better in a 1A, 1B situation. So I really think it's going to be generally a split between Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. Now, Aaron Jones, I think, is the better pass catching running back, and I think that is generally how they're going to use him more. They have actually referred to like both of our running backs can catch the ball out of the backfield. They're good at catching the ball out of the backfield. So I think Jordan Mason might end up surprising us with being a little bit more useful through the air than he was last year in San Francisco. San Francisco, they let him run routes and they just didn't throw the ball to him. So I don't, that might just mean he's not good getting open, not very good. But I think generally Aaron Jones going to get maybe 75 to 25 of the running back through the air production. And I think Jordan Mason going to get 75 to 25 of the goal line situation inside the 5 runs. But ultimately, I think they're approximately equal would be my expectation, at least by the end of the year in terms of expected fantasy points. It might be a little bit less to start. It might be more Aaron Jones. As Braden says, Jones may be a safety net for JJ. Certainly could be. We could see JJ McCarthy dumping it off quite a bit. Ultimately, because of the difference in ownership, I'm bullish on both. Like I think Aaron Jones is likely to outscore Jordan Mason today in Jordan Mason's first game with the team. Aaron Jones, he's an older guy. He might wear down more towards the end of the season, and maybe Jordan Mason takes over a bigger role. I kind of expect Aaron Jones to have a bigger role for today. But because Jordan Mason is getting such lower ownership, getting less than half the ownership of Aaron Jones, and I do think over time, I do think it's possible that from the start they're kind of splitting carries here. I think they're both pretty strong plays at ownership. I think I'll probably be close to this number on Aaron Jones. He's only 7,400 for a starting at least 1A running back. Jordan Mason only 7,000. I think he's live to score a touchdown today. I think in my Roto Grinders expert survey, I think I said at least 70 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown for Jordan Mason was my hot take. But I kind of think they both could get there. I think the Vikings might just run quite a lot in this game. We'll see. I would love it if they let JJ sling it in his first game, but I think the running backs are particularly strong plays. I don't think I'm going to get to any at least not much Ty Chandler. We do have Xavier Scott out, so I guess that helps a little bit that he's the clear RB3. They were kind of competing for that role. But I still don't think I'm going to prioritize Ty Chandler. I might end up cutting him out to get to the guys that I want. On the Bears side, we have DeAndre Swift. And actually, so we have Roschon Johnson out. I'm actually gonna reread the Ben Johnson quote. I read it on the earlier show, but I know a lot of you don't watch both of them, and I think it's kind of an interesting quote from the Coach Speak Index. Let me pull it up right here, read it off to you. So this was 2 days ago, on the 6th of September. Ben Johnson was asked why the Bears didn't add any running backs this week, given injuries at the position. So Travis Homer's injured, Roschon Johnson inactive also. So they have injuries at the running back position, and he was asked why they didn't add anybody. Ben Johnson said, I think I've been pretty open since I got here about DeAndre Swift and how highly I think of him. Kyle Monangai has really hit his stride there over the course of the spring and camp, so I trust that guy at this point, which that's a big thing to say for a young player like that. He tends to do everything right. I'm hopeful Roshan will come back here soon. We have Britton Brown, who came on late in training camp, but we were really impressed with what he did in practice and what he put on tape, and so we'd have no problem giving him the ball in games also. So we feel like we have a pretty good core of guys there. And then because we're uniquely set up to have so much perimeter skill, that maybe the ball doesn't go to that one room as much. And that's the competition we have each and every week, is where will the ball go? We have no shortage of playmakers. I thought that was a pretty interesting quote. Hard to make out exactly what that means. Spurious News, this is kind of my takeaway, that he loves Monangai. I think he does love Monangai. I think a lot of the quotes throughout the summer on Monangai have all been really bullish. It's always been like, he's a sponge. He just really wants to do everything right. He's getting there. Like, he does everything right. He's great in all aspects of the game. Just like everything about Kyle Monangai, the coach speak, super bullish. So he's a guy that didn't come in with like high pedigree, didn't grade out well in a lot of like prospect models, but the coaches seem to love him in Chicago, and that is probably the most important thing. Some bullish speak on DeAndre Swift. I don't know if he means it or if that's just hyping up your guy kind of thing. Ultimately, DeAndre Swift projected for 34% ownership in the flex, 7% captain ownership. I don't really have any issue with those numbers. If I get to those numbers, I'm fine. If I'm a little bit lower, I'd be okay with that too. But he's more expensive than the Vikings running back. It's a really tough matchup for DeAndre Swift. Vikings allowed the fourth fewest schedule adjusted fantasy points per game to running backs last year. I think that's going to continue. I think they just have a really strong defense. So it's a tough spot for the Bears running backs. And with it being a tough spot, I think I'm going to lean more into the cheaper guy in Monangai. Now, he might not have much of a role, to be clear. This is his first game as a rookie. They might just give DeAndre Swift all the work. So there's a wide range of outcomes for Kyle Monangai. But given that he's projected for 9% ownership, and I think the team really likes him, I'm going to take that bet in week one. I think I'm actually going to play a fair amount of Kyle Monangai. I'm going to be at least like double the field, I would expect. At least will be my aim. I'll be running the Sims on this stream at the end, so we'll see if I can get there. But I want to have at least like 20% Monangai. I think he's a really strong bet here because he's only 2,800. So if he scores a touchdown, I think that might be enough for him to get there. And if he doesn't totally kill you at 2,800 either. So ultimately, I think he is a pretty strong play here. All right. I think that does it for Britton Brown. I guess at 200, they did say they're comfortable with him getting the ball. I don't know if you want to take shots there, you could. I don't think I'm going to get to Britton Brown. I think I'll just use Kyle Monangai, make the bet on Monangai tonight. But he's some you could have in a 150 set if you really wanted to. I think that's it for the running backs. So I'll move on to the wide receivers. Iso says it sounds like he loves DeAndre Swift. At least, I mean, that quote was certainly very positive. He has had DeAndre Swift as his running back in the past, though, and didn't really treat him like he loved DeAndre Swift. So I'm a little bit skeptical of how much he loves Swift. But yeah, that was a pretty bullish quote. My guess, I mean, I think Swift will be like the clear top back here. I don't think it's like exactly. I don't think it's a 1A 1B situation. I think it's a Swift is the RB1, but I think it's a RB2 situation for Kyle Monangai where he will get some work. There are some teams where it's like, if you're the RB2, you're not going to see the field. I think Monangai will at least have a handful of opportunities, could get, a goal line touch or two. So I think he's a strong bet at 2,800, but I have no, if you want to play DeAndre Swift, I think he's a pretty strong play also. Okay. Moving on to the receivers. On the Vikings, of course, we have Justin Jefferson. He is 10,800, projected for 39% flex ownership, 19% captain ownership, and he is not going to have to deal with Jalen Johnson tonight. So that is a really positive thing. I think Jalen Johnson is the best cornerback on the Bears. That is really nice to go from a really good cornerback to a backup. Like the drop off from a really good, one of the better starting cornerbacks in the league to a backup can't be overstated. Like that's just such a massive win for Justin Jefferson. So this goes from being a really tough matchup to pretty good matchup for Justin Jefferson. He's expensive, but I'd like to get to as much Justin Jefferson as I possibly can tonight. Ownership doesn't scare me. Of course, he is, playing with JJ McCarthy for the first time. We'll see if JJ McCarthy has jitters, if he's just on from the start. I'm hopeful, but I don't know for sure. I think ultimately under 60% projected ownership on Justin Jefferson. I think I'll be probably close to the field here. Maybe I'll be slightly over. Maybe, or I should say, maybe I'd like to be. I don't know. I think it's fair ownership if he is going to be close to 60%. The price tag does make it a little bit tough. He is way more expensive than everybody else, but I think he's a great play tonight. I would love to get to, if I can get over the 60% he's being projected for, I would love to on Justin Jefferson. We'll see when I run the Sims, but yeah, I think he's just objectively a really strong play here as one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think he had the second most PPR fantasy points of any wide receiver last year, and now this becomes a much stronger matchup for Justin Jefferson. So yeah, I like it quite a bit. Behind Justin Jefferson. So now, for anybody who doesn't know, Jordan Addison is suspended for the first 3 games of the season. The team traded for Adam Thielen just before the season. Actually gave up a lot to get Adam Thielen back from the Panthers. Adam Thielen practices or works out with JJ McCarthy in the offseason. It was in Minnesota in 2022, Kevin O'Connell's first season. So a lot of familiarity with the important players here in Minnesota for Adam Thielen. He's 4,400. It's possible that he's going to take a little bit of time to work in with the Vikings. I kind of think that this is what he's here for, though. Like the period that that Jordan Addison is out is the reason I think that they went out and got Adam Thielen, because they need somebody in there right now. I think they're going to use him. I think they're going to play right away. They're going to play Adam Thielen quite a bit here, and I think he's comfortable enough with the coaching, with the system. And that's another quote from Kevin O'Connell, like, "Oh, it's amazing how quickly he just came right back in. He clearly remembers the offensive system we run here." So I think he's going to step right in and be pretty impactful from the start. We're also dealing with, I guess I'll finish on Adam Thielen. I like him quite a bit. 21% projected flex ownership, 2% captain ownership. I actually really like that captain number also. I think I'd like to be significantly over 2% at captain as well on Thielen. I'd like to be at least, triple that, quadruple that. Maybe I'll still be single digits, but I think that's given the price tag at 4,400. I think there's a pretty wide range of outcomes for Adam Thielen, but we just saw him in Carolina. He was a great target earner in Carolina. Obviously, they don't have Justin Jefferson. He was the number 1 receiver in Carolina. Adam Thielen's not going to come in here and be the number 1 receiver on the Vikings, but he is really cheap, not getting a ton of ownership. And if he can just score a touchdown, like if he scores a touchdown, racks up 5 receptions for 50 yards, he could be the optimal captain because he'd allow you to get a lot of other players in, and he might be better. He might, have 8 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown or something like that. I think there's the upside is there for old man Thielen here. I like him quite a bit. Jalen Naylor is the other receiver for the Vikings. He's 3,600. And like I said earlier, I think we don't know exactly how the split is going to be, who's going to be playing more slot for the Vikings. Of course, the slot corner out for the Bears as well, which is also pretty big, upgrade for the Vikings passing game, that you go from a starting to a backup slot corner. Love that. I suspect both Thielen and Naylor are going to play significant snaps from the slot. Naylor's 3,600, projected for just 7% ownership. He's kind of a tough read, honestly, because early in the off coach speak was really positive on Jalen Naylor. It was, we think he's going to be taking a big step forward this year. I think he's in for a great season. Like it was really positive. And then he broke his hand in August. He also dealt with some drops in the preseason. So it's a little bit less bullish right now, I think, than it was earlier in the offseason. But at 7% ownership, he practiced in full last week. He's playing tonight. At 7% ownership, I do have interest in Jalen Naylor. Also, he's also just a big play guy, also dealing with a broken secondary for the Bears. So I really like Jalen Naylor. If he's going to be 7% owned, I would like to be at least double that number, maybe triple that number. I'll take the shot on a guy who's capable of just one big splash play and paying it off. He's 3,600, so he would need, probably needs like 12 plus fantasy points to get there, I would think. Maybe not. You never really know. It's very slate dependent. But he's capable of a big splash play and paying it off, and not projected for a ton of ownership. So I am interested in Jalen Naylor. Ty Felton, Miles Price, you can see here, really, really low projections. Really hard to know what to make of Ty Felton and Miles Price. I don't know. I'm not expecting them to play much. I kind of think I don't know if they're going to play at all. You could take shots if you wanted to. Ty Felton, third round draft pick this year for the Vikings. I can see here project for less than 1 fantasy points at RG. Also about 2% ownership. I think that's fine at 800 if you want to get there. I don't know that I'm going to get there. I don't think I'm going to get to Miles Price either. They'd be just 150 lineups, take a few shots if you wanted to, but I don't really think they see the field because I think it's going to be Jefferson, Thielen, Naylor, and then 12 personnel with 2 tight ends on the field instead. So that's kind of my expectation is we're not going to see a ton of Felton or Price, but they might get out there for a handful of opportunities. So if you want to play either of them, I think they're darts. I'm not going to force my way onto Felton or Price. On the other side, we have the Bears. DJ Moore projected for 39% ownership, 14% captain ownership, 39% flex ownership. That is, he's 9,600. DJ Moore, if you watched the Bears at all last, kind of seemed like he wasn't into it. He was just kind of like phoning it in, not that excited to be there. He acknowledged that this offseason, which I actually really liked that he acknowledged that, yeah, my attitude was not great last year. I was not excited. And he says he's back. He's ready to buy in with the new Ben Johnson offense. I think that's probably true. It's the first game of the season. Everybody's gung-ho to start the year. So I think we're going to see effort from DJ Moore. He's a really talented running back. I also really like that they've been talking about using him in a lot of different ways, moving him around the field and giving him opportunities from the backfield. I actually on pick 6, the bag builder thing, I chose over 0.5 rushing yards was one of the options there. I think he might get an opportunity or 2 or 3 from the backfield. We'll kind of see how things go. But they're missing Roschon Johnson. They maybe are thin in the backfield. I could see DJ Moore actually getting a few opportunities here from the backfield, similar to Kevontae Turpin on Thursday. I'm intrigued by it. And even if he doesn't, like he's a strong enough receiver, I think he's a pretty good bet. 53% total ownership. I don't know if I would get there. I'd be fine with it if the Sims give me 53%, but he's not somebody that I'm like forcing my way to more or forcing my way to less. I think it's just kind of fine. I think that's those are good numbers for DJ Moore. Rome Odunze, 8,000. He's projected for 32% flex ownership, 6% captain ownership. If I need to sacrifice a bit of Rome Odunze exposure to get to other receivers or to other players that I like, I think I'm willing to do it. I think Rome Odunze a little bit too expensive for me here at 8,000. As my friend Derek Brown noted in his primer article that he puts out every week, this is the Vikings last year played the most too high in the NFL, and Rome Odunze really struggled against too high last year. Now he was a rookie. Who knows? Maybe he's going to take a big step forward this year. But I think it's worth noting that this is not a matchup that was particularly strong for Rome Odunze last year. As Debra also noted, he 84th out of 85, and I don't know what the metric was for qualifying for the stat, but Debra noted out of 85 qualifying receivers, Rome Odunze was ranked 84th in catchable target rate. So he really struggled with just bad quarterback play, a bad offensive system. He could obviously take a pretty strong step forward if Ben Johnson makes this offense quite a bit better. Caleb steps up his game a little bit. So he might be in for a better year this year, but I don't know that I'm willing to make the bet on it to this extent. His first game in a tough matchup with the Vikings at $8,000. So I do think Rome Odunze is one that if I need to sacrifice the some of this 38% he's expected to get and get, down below at like 25% Rome Odunze, I think I'd be okay doing it. Then you have Olamide Zaccheaus and Luther Burden fighting for the slot position here. I think, as you can see here, pretty likely that Olamide Zaccheaus has the job. I think that's kind of the expectation around the industry that Luther Burden, he dealt with a lot of injuries, rookie coming in. I don't think Luther Burden is going to step into a very big role here. I think it's generally going to be the Olamide Zaccheaus role. And it's a good one. He's $2,000 projected for 26% ownership, 1% captain ownership as the starting slot receiver on the Bears. We don't know exactly how much workload he's going to get from the slot. I think he could play anywhere from 40 to 75% of snaps. I think somewhere in that range is kind of what I'm expecting in terms of his route participation. We could also see the Bears play more 2 tight end sets instead of playing Olamide Zaccheaus, but I think he's a starting slot, and he's going to be a player I like quite a bit. This ownership has come up a little bit to 26%. I think it was lower than that earlier. I'm curious where RG has him at. Oh, I got to refresh again. All right. All right, where are you? They have him at 17. I mean, if he came in at 17%, I would absolutely love that for Olamide Zaccheaus. They have him at sub 20% total ownership. I think I'm probably going to split the difference because I kind of think appropriate ownership for Olamide Zaccheaus is probably around where Run the Sims has him projected. So I think that's kind of my shot. And if he comes in lower, that'd be great. I'd be happy to have this much of him. So I think somewhere around 25% ownership or 25% exposure to Olamide Zaccheaus is kind of my target. And then Luther Burden, a little bit too expensive for a guy who might work in there a little bit. I think he's a talented receiver, but he's 4,600, going to play a really part-time role. I think hard to see him killing me if I fade him. So I don't know if I'm going to get to Luther Burden in his first game. If you want to lean into the chaos with a talented rookie and just assume he is going to see the field more than we're expecting, I think that's totally fine. The game's in Chicago. Maybe they want to show off their new weapons to the fans, but I'm not expecting Luther Burden to have a big role today. I don't know that I'm going to get to him at all in my lineups. If I get to 5%, I'd be totally fine with it, but I'm not sure I'm going to be getting there with Luther Burden today. All right, tight ends. I'll check in with chat and then I'll get to tight ends here. Oh, and we got to get rid of some of these. So many bots in chat lately. Yeah, Vikings. Harrison Smith is out. Kind of a bummer. Why is Zaccheaus projected nearly 4? Just because he's the starting slot. Like that's been how they've been using him. All suggestions are that he is the starting slot. Appreciate you appreciating me, Tyler. That's interesting. Lou says he prefers roam and captain more than flex. I don't hate that. If you just think like maybe he's going to take a big step forward, maybe you want to make that bet in captain. Yeah, he was. I mean, he high pedigree. He came in as one of the top receivers in a really strong receiving class. I think most people had him ranked ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. coming in as a rookie. So clearly, he could take a big step forward this year. I'm going to get to tight ends. Grapefruit. All right. Someone get Neil a beer. Is my throat? I mean, it's my throat is. I forgot to take my allergy medication yesterday. I took it today, but I think I'm still recovering from the day off. All right. Gonna get to it. Move on to. Oh no, Justin, get out of here. Move on to the tight ends. What's up, Bean Dude? Good to see you all here. Love seeing the crew back. It's always fun NFL season. Names you don't see for a while showing back up. Wait, I got to move my thing down here. Oh no, I did already. I'm already on tight ends. Okay, we're going to talk tight ends. Appreciate that shout out. Yeah, please do like the video. Really appreciate it if you would like the video. And of course, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the NFL season. Have a long way to go. That's really on me, though. I didn't even tell you guys to like the video. Got to remember to tell you guys. It is really helpful if you do like the video and subscribe. So please do so if you have not already. All right. Yes, Debro knows. JJM, love the guy. All right. Tight ends. On the Vikings, TJ Hawkinson, 6,600, projected for 29%. Flex ownership, 4%. Captain ownership. I don't mind those numbers. I think he's a pretty strong play here. It is not the world's best matchup with the Bears, but again, could benefit from some of the cornerbacks being out. We really don't know what to expect. You take out a couple impactful defensive players, it kind of throws off the entire defense. So I'm pretty hopeful about the Vikings offense. I like Hawkinson at 6,600. Definitely viable at captain at 4% ownership. He's a really strong tight end when he's healthy. So yeah, I like Hawkinson. Josh Oliver just signed a huge contract, $23 million over 3 years. He's only 1,600. He's also more of a blocking tight end than a receiving tight end. maybe like he should see some opportunities. Maybe you'll see a couple. He's the classic. If he scores a touchdown, you'll want him most likely at 1600. He probably pays that off if he scores a touchdown. If he doesn't score a touchdown, you probably don't want him in your lineup. I think at 5%, he's a totally fine play. Somebody I hope I get some exposure to in my lineups, but not a huge priority for me. Hawkinson, the bigger priority. I don't know if I'm going to get too much more than the 33% he's projected for. I might get a little bit more. I might get more than the 4% at captain, or at least I'd like to get more than the 4% at captain. But I think that's kind of a fair number overall. On the Bears side, you have the rookie Colston Loveland, 10th overall pick in this year's NFL draft. Big expectations for Colston Loveland this year. He dealt with injuries a lot over the course of the summer. He is healthy now, but it does kind of set you back as a rookie, especially as a rookie tight end. The team did say though that they recognize that rookie tight ends tend to take a little bit of time to develop, tend to take some time to get ready, NFL ready. But they think that Colston Loveland might be able to do it. They believe in Colston Loveland being NFL ready from the start. We just saw Tyler Warren absolutely crush, who was picked after Colston Loveland, looked awesome in his first start. We've seen more tight ends recently be awesome as rookies. It's certainly possible that Colston Loveland will step right in and be awesome as a rookie. I expect him to see a pretty heavy workload today. 5,800, I think, is totally fair. If he gets 0% captain ownership, I would like to have some Colston Loveland exposure just in case he is him. If he does just show up and he's just great from the start, give me the Tyler Warren stat line plus a touchdown, and I would take that all day for Colston Loveland at 5,800. I think I'll have some exposure. I'd like to have some exposure to Loveland at captain. I think 18% is pretty fair in the flex also for Loveland. And then you have Komet. Komet is 4,000. They've talked about him. They've actually referenced Ben Johnson referenced the Sean Payton Joker role when talking about Cole Kmet. He said you love to have those guys that you can move all over the field. They've talked about using him out of the backfield. I speculated earlier. I think he could be like they could use him for the tush push, like Baltimore uses Mark Andrews. I think that is a possibility here for Cole Kmet. The $4,000 price tag seems rough for a backup tight end, but I don't think he's a backup tight end in the same way like Joshua Alvarez. I think they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. I think he's a really talented tight end. And like I said, they've been super bullish in the way they've talked about Cole Kmet. They've talked about using him all over the place. So I actually like him. I think at 10% ownership, I'd like to be over that number at least a little bit. It's not going to be a huge stand for me, but I do think I'd like to get over that 10% number on Cole Kmet. I'd love him if he was, 2,000, 3,000. At 4,000, it's just a little bit tougher. Yeah, Debro says he's fading. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. He's fading Naylor because he's expecting more 12 personnel for the Vikings tonight. I think the flip side to that, Debro, is just that he's getting 7% ownership. So I get it. It's just like that as an ownership play. I think I like him better than the 7% that he's going to get. But I hear you. I think there's a good chance he just doesn't get as much workload as you'd like. All right. Defenses and kickers. That's interesting. Oliver came up as a receiving first guy. That's the way the coaches talked about him, if you in the Coach Pick and Nicks, is like he is the best blocking tight end who's also a capable pass catcher. So they talk about him as a blocking tight end, blocking first tight end, but that's an interesting note that he came up as a pass catcher. All right, defenses and kickers. I am Debro, cover your ears when I talk about the Bears defense here. I guess they're missing some pieces, which does hurt how much I like them. But we got Will Reichard projected for 18% ownership. Vikings defense projected for 9%. The Vikings defense is 5,400, but I still think I would like to be over the 9% here. Because Caleb Williams, I think they could just sack him a lot. I'm not convinced that Caleb Williams is going to be any good. He might be. He might surprise us, but I'm not convinced they're good. And the Vikings defense is 5,400, and they're only getting 9% ownership. 54 is actually a high price tag, but they're only getting 9% ownership. So I think I will go out of my way to get to double digits at least of the Vikings defense. Maybe 15% or so would feel pretty good. And then on the Bears side, you have Cairo Santos, 16% projected ownership, 1% in the captain. I think that's fine. I think I like those numbers. Okay. No real issue with it. But the Bears defense is only 3,400. And as bullish as I am on JJ McCarthy, love JJ McCarthy, think he's going to be awesome. But this is a 3,400 defense that I think it's still a pretty good defense. Now, I'm hopeful that JJ McCarthy is going to cook them because they are pretty hurt, and I think JJ McCarthy is good. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. But this is his first NFL game. It might take a little bit of time before JJ McCarthy is fully himself. So $3,400 defense against a quarterback in his first NFL game. I have to set my bias aside and say, I like that. I think that's just a really strong play. So I will be playing more than the 12% here of the Bears defense. I think I'd like to get to 20% or so of the Bears defense. And a lot of those will be in JJ McCarthy lineups. Also, that's kind of a way that I like to avoid dupes on Showdown, because a lot of people think of it as going one way or another. Either the quarterback's going to be good or the opposing defense is going to be good. A lot of people aren't going to want to play them together. But the way things work in DFS, like if the Bears defense gets a pick six, they get what, 9, maybe 8, just 8 fantasy points for that. JJ McCarthy loses 1 fantasy point, but then he gets the game back immediately. So it's still like sets up well for him. So I like making the bet on the defense against a quarterback that I love and think is going to be great. But it's his first game, and they're only 3,400 and getting little ownership. So I think the Bears defense is actually a very, very strong play here. And the kickers are fine. All right, questions and lineups. I am going to actually take the sidebar off the screen, move myself over so we can see the full screen here. But always happy to answer any questions you have at this point. Let me find it. Is this the one I want? That's the one I want. All right. Yep. Olamide, love it. Same page, D bro. Thoughts on both quarterbacks at flex? No issue with it. They're expensive. They're both really strong plays. Gonna score a lot of fantasy points. So yeah, no issue with playing both quarterbacks in the flex. We'll see now when I run the Sims here. I think I'm gonna get a lot of exposure to them. What's the exposure on min price guys from your sim run? I didn't get a ton of the min price guys earlier. I'm gonna run it right now also, so we'll see if anything has changed here. Let's see. I've got 40 minutes. So I'm debating. So I normally, here, I'm just going to refresh, make sure everything is up to date, because I know inactives came out right before I started the show. Going back to Minnesota, Chicago, just going to click reset all. So the way I like to do this is I normally don't make any changes to any of the settings on the inputs page before I start, because I want to see what it gives me naturally. See if I just like the exposures that I get before making any changes. So I think I have time to do that right now. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run a sim with fewer lineups, maybe just to kind of get an idea and then make adjustments. But I am going to set some settings here. So I'm just going to do 15,000 lineups for this first run to save a little bit of time. I am still going to do the largest contest field size and 10,000 simulations. So it should take a little while for this to run, but maybe helps a little bit if I set it to just 15,000 instead of 25,000 lineups. I'm going to do top heavy payout structure. And then I'm going to do the shady portfolio optimizer, which is going to optimize my entire portfolio. So I'm playing 221 lineups tonight. Now, 150 of those are in the 50 cent mini max. I'm not playing tens of thousands of dollars here. I'm just playing a few $100s tonight on this slate. But I want to have my portfolio of lineups really diversified. That's been going pretty well for me so far. The 2 nights that I've used the shady portfolio optimizer, I've been really happy with the way that I'm not losing a ton of my bankroll on these nights. It could just be really small sample size, but I think it's promising to see, just like if you look at your, the bar where it shows all your lineups, they're like spread out all the way across it. I love to see that. I'm not playing too many lineups that are too close together. They're not cannibalizing each other. And my lineups have still been, every night I've had lineups that are literally a play away from taking down a showdown. So I think it's going well so far. All right. So I'm going to click run the Sims. I got to make this screen smaller so you can see it. Isn't it great to have NFL back? Agreed. I'm so excited. I'm tired. I haven't slept much in the past week, but I don't even care. It's just it's just good to be back. It's good to be back. Playing 3 lineups is 100% of JJ McCarthy, Justin Jefferson, and Caleb Stupid. I don't think so for 3. I mean, I'm giving you like my perspective as a game analyst. I guess I don't think it's stupid. I don't know. I don't know if Shady would disagree. He might tell you that you should be spreading it out. Maybe play two of them in each lineup, diversify a little bit more. I think that's probably the way to do it, is diversify it a little bit more and don't play all three in all three of your lineups because they're going to be too close. But if you then spread out the other three players in each of those lineups, maybe it's fine. Thoughts on stacking the running backs? I kind of like it. I ran a sim earlier where I increased the Vikings rush share, so just like the team as a whole going to run a little bit more. And I got to a lineup that had Jordan Mason in the captain spot and Aaron Jones in it, and it was one of my top lineups. So I think it's pretty strong. Not a lot of people are going to do it. I think they're going to both have roles right away. For single entry fade one quarterback, I think you can make lineups either way. I would probably have both quarterbacks if I was making a single entry, but I have no issue with it. You speak on leaving salary on the table in Showdown to get unique lineups, or is that negative EV? No, I think it's definitely positive EV in general. That is, so two of my three biggest DFS wins of all time were in NFL Showdown. One of them I won just a hair under $300,000, split a Millie Maker Showdown Millie Maker four ways, and that lineup I believe left $1,600, maybe $1,800 on the table. That's kind of been something that I have generally forced historically, is just leave a lot of salary on the table and hope that the really cheap guys outscore their more expensive teammates. So when I use an optimizer, that's something that I would always force. Now that I'm using a Sims tool, I'm not doing that because I want to have a mix of lineups that are taking on various levels of risk. And if you're leaving $1,800 on the table in all of your lineups, you're taking on quite a bit of risk. Like you might just not make back any money. So the nice thing for me about using Run the Sims here is it's going to spread out. Some of my lineups are going to leave a ton of salary on the table and take on a lot of risk, but then they would win a lot when they do win. Others are, all right, what's happening here? I think I might need to check my DMs, make sure there's no issues going on here. I'm going to leave it like this for a minute. And then refresh if I need to. But no, I think it's generally good in large field GPPs. To be clear, it's different depending on what you're playing. But like if you're playing large field GPPs, trying to avoid dupes, certainly a good idea. Neil, have you been winning? I haven't won. I have not had any like tournament wins in the 3 days I've used the Sims, but I have been really happy with where the lineups are at. So it's like the lineups look the way I want them to, and I'm actually going to refresh this. I don't know I haven't seen this before. So no, I have not won, but I've been really happy with the way things are going. Like I think that they're putting me in position to win without without taking on too much risk. So I've been very happy with the way things are going so far. All right, hit the button. All right, so let me try this again. I'm not sure what just happened. Minnesota, Chicago, reset all settings. I'm going to go top heavy. 15,000 lineups, largest field contest, 1,000 sims, diversified portfolio, 221 lineups in the portfolio diversifier. And I'm going to run the sims again. So yeah, no, I haven't taken any tournaments down or anything, but like that's kind of the expectation in 3 days of playing large field GPPs. But I've actually, I think every Showdown slate been like literally within a couple fantasy points of the optimal or of the lineup that wins. So I've been pretty happy with the way things are going. Again, that small sample though, like I don't want to make it sound like that is a guaranteed outcome, but so far I've been very happy with the way things have looked. Favorite captain single entry, probably just Justin Jefferson. I think I'd probably just go Jets. I think you could also go with one of the quarterbacks. I actually think JJ McCarthy with a double or triple stack, just like mega stacking with one of the quarterbacks, is not a bad idea. All right. I think Colston Loveland is a fine captain. Like he's going to be contrarian. He's not going to get much ownership. I'm not going to play like a ton of Colston Loveland at captain, but I'd be happy to get a few percent of contrarian Colston Loveland and just make a bet that he is that dude from the start. Please no, just kickers. That would just break my heart. Any 1-5 or 5-1s. We'll take a look at the lineups when they come in here. I imagine so. Like I think that's usually going to be something that I get in my portfolio a fair amount. Appreciate that, PayPal Pappy. And yeah, please do hit the like. Let's go. Marco knows 5-1 Viking stacks. Emwald likes Adam Thielen captain. I think Zacchaeus, he's getting very little ownership. He's not my favorite captain. I think he's fine. I think I'll probably get to some Zacchaeus captain because of the price tag. I think he's strong enough. Actually, I do think he's a strong captain because he's pretty inexpensive, allows you to get to the quarterbacks and Justin Jefferson, and he could put up, 14 fantasy points, and that might be exactly what you need. So I think he's fine at low ownership. Neil, do you have a show with Davis Maddock on Fridays? Yeah, we do at 4 for 4. We do a show together every Friday during the DFS season. All right, there we go. We got some lineups here. Apologies if I haven't gotten to your comment, but I want to keep working here. Actually, it looks like I'm pretty close to the end, so I'll keep going. Moore is your favorite captain. Yeah, it seems good. What up, Bloomington? Used to play against both Bloomington high schools in basketball. Outside of DFS, any props that stand out to you? I played a little bit of pick six. I did the over 16.5 rushing yards for JJ McCarthy in the bag builder. I did over half a rushing yard for DJ Moore. Those are the two that off the top of my head I liked. All right, so the top lineup in the first run of sims that I ran here, and again, it's actually not sorted by EV because I did the shady portfolio optimizer. It knows that I'm doing 221 lineups, so it's giving me a set of 221 plus EV lineups. It's not necessarily the most plus EV lineups because it doesn't want lineups that are going to cannibalize each other too much. So you can see they're kind of out of order here. But you can see really strong EV on the top one with Caleb Williams at captain, DJ Moore, Olamide Zacchaeus, and Romo Dunze. And then you have JJ McCarthy with just Aaron Jones in the flex. So maybe making the assumption that he's using his safety valve. This lineup uses 49,800, so leaves 200 on the table. Projected for 64 dupes. So it's expected to be very duped, and still in this contest size would look pretty good in the sims. That's kind of interesting to me. But you can see others. So I'll look at this one. This one projected for under 1 dupe. JJ McCarthy and the captain with Adam Thielen and Jalen Naylor, and then you have Caleb Williams with DeAndre Swift and Romo Dunze. But that one leaves 2,500 on the table. That's why it's projected for under 1 dupe. Of course, one thing to keep in mind with these is if that's wrong and it ends up being duped 3 times, that's going to more drastically affect the lineups that are plus EV because they're projected for lower dupes, like that they're plus EV because of the low dupes. So you add on any more dupes to it and it affects them more drastically than it would that top one, which is projected for 64 dupes. Like you add 3 dupes onto that, it's not going to change the EV nearly as much as it would for this lineup, for example. So just something to keep in mind when you're looking through your lineups. I'm not going to, on this one, set any kind of rule for like max dupes because I want to have a portfolio of lineups that look different. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, give me a second here, I'm going to download these lineups, put them into DraftKings so we can take a look at the exposures in DraftKings. That's something you can't do in Run the Sims yet. They don't show you your exposures, but it's something that I know they're close on because it's already available for them in their golf product. So I'm expecting it to be here soon. But for now, you have to download them from here. So I'm going to download 221 lineups and throw them into DraftKings. So give me a second here to do that. All right, we're in. So now I'm going to take a look at the exposures. All right, so as of right now, in that first run of lineups, I've got 85% Caleb Williams, 78% JJ McCarthy, 52% Aaron Jones, 48% DJ Moore, 46% Justin Jefferson, 42% DeAndre Swift, 38% Adam Thielen, 32% Romo Dunze, 26% TJ Hawkinson, 21% Will Reichard, 21% Jordan Mason, 20% Olamide Zaccheaus, 19% Loveland, 18% Naylor, 14% Komet. This is interesting. So I do have 14% Bears. So that is good to see. Earlier when I was running it, I was only getting like 6% of the Bears defense, and I was kind of forcing it to more. So I think that is good to see. 6% Vikings defense, 4% Monongai, 4% Oliver, 1% Price. All right, so this is where we're starting at. So now I'm going to make some adjustments to the Sims to get closer to lineups that I like. So I'm gonna make these adjustments first, and then I'll come back and check in on chat. All right, so changing some of the input. So I think I still want some more Jordan Mason. He's actually closer now to a number that I'm comfortable with. I think though I'm going to move up. So I'm getting to a ton of JJ McCarthy. I think generally looking through, I like more Vikings players than Bears players. So I'm thinking I could move up the total pace for the Vikings slightly to get to more Vikings. And I'm also just a homer. We can just recognize that. It's fine to recognize. I'm just a Vikings homer, but I'm going to move the pace up to 60 plays. That's just the number of offensive plays you're expecting the team to play. They're projected for 22.5 points. I'm going to move that up to 24. Do I want to increase the rush rate? I want more Jordan Mason. Okay, so they've actually moved the splits closer. So these splits were pretty far apart before. After running the Sims, they're much closer than they were earlier, and I think I'm more comfortable with this. I am going to. So I'm not going to click the Smart Adjust button yet. I think so. Once you click the Smart Adjust button, I actually don't know if it works retroactively, but the way it works is if you click the Smart Adjust button, it's going to maintain the proportions between the market share, so the market share of just rushing and the rushing touchdown market share. Same thing for receiving. So wait, I'm not going to click it yet. I'm going to increase Jordan Mason's touchdown market share to 42%. And then I'm going to click it before I make other changes. So I've kind of increased everybody here, which I don't mind. That should bring me more Jordan Mason. Oh, I need to click normalize now, because you can see I'm at 104% total because I moved Jordan Mason up. Now if I click normalize, it's going to brings him down a little bit, but brings the total percentage to 100%, where it needs to be to run the Sims. Now, I like both defenses. I think the way to get more of the defenses is you just change the projection. So I'm going to move up Vikings defense to 9.6 projection. Actually, maybe let's move it to 10. And then on the Bears side, I'm getting to a lot of Caleb Williams. I think I like Kyle Monungai a little bit more than the amount I'm getting. What did I get of Monungai? Okay, yeah, 4%. I think I like him as a bet here. He might just be a total zero, but I like taking some shots there. So I'm actually going to move away from DeAndre Swift a little bit. I'm going to move Monungai's market share up to 20%. Wait, actually, hang on. I got to click the Smart Adjust first, and then I'm going to move Monungai up to maybe even more. Maybe I need to move him more to get. I'm going to move up to 22%. I'm also going to move up DJ Moore. Okay, they already moved him up to 5% market share rushing, so maybe that's fine. And then, do they have any for Cole Kmet? I'm going to move Cole Kmet's rushing share up just a little bit. It'd be fun if they use him in the Mark Andrews role. 5% is probably a bit much. Yeah, maybe I'll move him just to 3%. Maybe that's more realistic, because I'm not really expecting him to get more than 1 or 2 carries. I don't know how much I want of like Luther Burden. I'm already getting a fair amount of Olamide Zacchaeus, kind of in the range that I want. How much Rome was I getting? 30. So I'm a little bit underweight, which is kind of where I want to be there. And then I am going to move up the Bears defense to 9 fantasy points. I just think they're at low ownership, a low price tag. I think they're a pretty good bet. And then I need to click normalize here. And now for this one, I am actually going to change it to 25,000 lineups. So this one will take a little bit longer again. I will check in with chat while this is running. All right. So many of these damn bots. Yeah, the Bears are missing some defensive backs, including Jalen Johnson, their best defensive back. That should benefit Justin Jefferson. They're missing their slot cover back also. All right. Thank you, sir. Dan reminding you to like the video if you haven't done so already. Would appreciate that. Please, Tootin season. We need it. We need it. Wait, this didn't actually happen, did it? Bigsby traded? Is that a real thing? Or is that just speculation? That would be so money if Bigsby got traded to the Eagles. I'm trying to find it. I'm guessing that's just no. Jags updated our Tootin season. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Congrats, Tyreek. Bigsby, I think a talented enough running back. Watching while doing bath time with you have 4 sons, Tyreek. My God. All right. Trying to catch up. It's apologies if I miss your chats. I know that my mods are deleting them in YouTube chat, but they still show up in StreamYard for me. So it's hard for me to navigate chat when there are this many bots in here. I'm getting there though. I'm so excited about that. Facial Tootin, baby. Shit, my money is, man, the guy's already down so bad with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and now he was also out on Tootin. I mean, come on, guy. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Man, that's exciting. What's up, Chris? I saw briefly. There he is. Good to see you. All right, I only have 4 lineups tonight, and they all have 2,250. Oh, that's a lot, dude. That is a lot, but no issue with it. I think that's you're taking on a lot of risk. You could just lose everything with that, but no issue with leaving a lot of salary on the table. It's more than the range that I'm going to be in for salary left on the table. I'm playing Jones and Mason. I hope. All right, there it is. We're ready. Get rid of one more bot here. Okay. Top lineup after making the changes I made. So again, I increased stuff for the Vikings. I am a homer. This is kind of an interesting one. So I see JJ McCarthy with Aaron Jones, Adam Thielen, Jalen Naylor, and Justin Jefferson. Leaves 1,100 on the table. Has naked Caleb Williams, which is something that I, again, don't want to have a ton of exposure to naked Caleb Williams. That's something that probably if I were using an optimizer, I would rule that out. I would say require at least one pass catcher, but it's showing up as plus EV. I'm going to trust the Sims on this one. That one projected for just 5 dupes. So you're just hoping that he does. He rushes for 28 yards a game. I guess he could rush for a touchdown, spread the ball around a little bit. Otherwise, maybe the Bears just don't score that many points. So 1 rushing touchdown for Caleb Williams is enough with that lineup. But that's interesting to see. Second lineup, we get Caleb Williams at captain with Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and then we have both of the Vikings running backs. So the lineup we've talked about with Mason and Aaron Jones in there. Third lineup, love to see it. Adam Thielen. Man, I'm liking this. This is looking good for me. Adam Thielen in the captain spot We've got Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason again. This is like the exact lineup I've talked about, like a lot of the things I love. Adam Thielen at captain with JJ McCarthy, Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. Then we have Caleb with DJ Moore. Looks awesome. Love it. The changes that I made are giving me the types of lineups that I like here. Now I'm going to, again, download these, put them into DraftKings. Just make sure I have my other spreadsheet closed first. So I'm going to download 221 lineups. Put them back into DraftKings, take a look at my exposures. Still got 15 minutes. I might do one more run, but we'll see. We'll see if I need to. All right. A few exposures. All right, so we're still at 86% Caleb Williams after making those changes to make the Vikings look better. We're getting to 84% JJ McCarthy, 52% Aaron Jones, 51% Justin Jefferson. So I am leaning into the Vikings bias here. 43% DJ Moore, 37% Adam Thielen, 33% Odunze. So that actually came up a little bit. Interesting. 30% DeAndre Swift. So that has come down a little bit. 29% Jordan Mason. Love to see that. 23% TJ Hawkins and 22% Reichard. 21% Naylor, down to 15% Olamide Zacchaeus. I don't like that. I think I'm going to have to do another run just to get to more of Zacchaeus because that's also only $33, so he's not in my higher lineups. 13% Komet, 10% Santos. I'm only getting 9% Vikings defense, 7% Bears defense, 6% Monungai. So there are some things that I want to change here. I think I'm gonna go out of my way to get more of Monungai, the defenses, and Zacchaeus. I think those are the biggest things that I want more of here. So I'm going to go back to inputs. I'm going to move the Vikings defense up to 11 points. Oh yeah, and then it was Bears defense. I'm going to bring them up to, man, if I put them at 10, I'm going to get a bunch, I bet. Put them at 9.8. I bet that's going to give me enough. Monungai, I think I'm going to move up a little bit more to, I'm actually going to move down Caleb Williams' rushing market share a little bit and give more of that to Monungai. Because I think I'll still get a fair amount of Caleb by doing that. I'm going to move Caleb down to 13%. Monungai up to 24%. Okay, I think that's. Oh, and then Zacchaeus I want more of. So I'm going to move Zacchaeus to. I think I'd be okay getting a little bit less Rome, a little bit more Zacchaeus, and I'd be okay with 0 Duvernay. I think so. I'm going to move off, remove Duvernay, give him a 0. Maybe that's all I need to do. I think I'm okay getting more Rome, and then move Zacchaeus up to 12. Okay. I think we're all normalized. All right, now I'm going to run it. Again, we're at 25,000 lines, 15K, 10K, top heavy, shady portfolio optimizer. We're good to go. Man, Bashal Tootin. Is it going to be next week? We're going to be getting Bashal Tootin 20 touches. It's not going to be next week, but appreciate you, Jordan. All right. Okay, yeah, everybody I was asking the question and just couldn't see what everybody was saying. Everybody telling me it's real, like Seinfeld, and it's spectacular. Yeah, it does maybe kill Shipley. I don't know. I don't know that it actually does. What is dead may never die. It could. It might kill Shipley. Yeah, that also it might mean that Shipley's more hurt than we realize. I would not like it if it's Shipley. I do have it set up where you need to be subbed for at least 5 minutes. Last year I did these streams and I would always lose subs after streaming, and I was like, man, people are so harsh. Like I make a couple bad calls and they're like, I'm done with you. I think it was actually just losing all of the bots, getting banned every. I think they're just like they're signed up on Sundays and they go away. So yeah, these bots are actually subscribing so that they can spam the dumbest stuff. I don't think it's crazy to have 2% Bears as captain in the largest field. No, not at all. I think there's a lot of ways this game could go. I'm hoping for a shootout. I would love it if the Vikings put up 4 touchdowns. But I think there's also a strong possibility this is a pretty low scoring affair. So right now I allow Run the Sims to do it for me. I allow the portfolio optimizer to kind of tell me which lineups are the highest EV, or I guess Run the Sims tell me which lineups are highest EV, and then the portfolio optimizer to give me the right portfolio of lineups. But it used to be just mostly pulling different buttons with the pulling different levers with, putting a salary cap on, allowing defense against my quarterback, playing running backs from the same team in the same lineup, that kind of stuff. All right, trying to catch up through all these bots. We don't know how many snaps Zacchaeus. I would guess he's going to play. Again, I think I've speculated he's going to run 40 to 70% route participation would be my guess. He's going to be the slot receiver. So he's not going to run like every route as a slot receiver, but he might be the full-time slot receiver for all we know. I think Luther Burden going to take some time to develop after being hurt most of the offseason. Jefferson. That'd be mine. Mason, the captain, I don't hate. Oh, did I need to move the sack rate up? The just changing the. In the video I did earlier, I couldn't figure out. I was not immediately sure which defense what was where. So like, is it sack rate? Is that for the quarterback or for the defense? So I was confused about how to do it. Appreciate you, Tommy. Shout out spurious news. There you go. These bots are insane, right? Yeah. All right. Calculating payouts. That means we're getting close. It's going to do the portfolio optimization, I think, is the next step, and then we're good. Brian, is it so the sack rate above the Vikings? So like it shows the whole Vikings offense and it shows the sack rate on the right side. Is that the sack rate for the Vikings defense, or is that the amount that the Vikings quarterback is sacked? That's why I was just trying to do fantasy points instead of sack rate. Because you can change the just projection like you can't other places. So that was my confusion there. That's why I just went straight to fantasy points. At a glance, Anthony, yes, I think that's for their defense. Okay, that's good to know. I'm probably not going to have time to do it again right now, but the Tank Bigsby trade is not related to Will Shipley's rib injury against the Cowboys last week, to my understanding, according to Brooks Kubana. The Eagles like their RB room. They like Bigsby's effectiveness as a kickoff returner, a role they've been exploring. Okay. I maybe should have just done 15,000 lineups again, knowing that this is going to be pretty close. All right, so the Vikings sack rate is Vikings defense gets more sacks. Okay, that's good to know. I will do that in the future. Will the way I did it work? Just changing the projection? Yeah, I mean, if he's the kick returner and nothing more, that's wheels down for Tank Bigsby. It's bad. There we go. Diversifying payouts. That means we're close. That means it's in the shady tool now. They sent all this information. They sent all the lineups out to a black box. And now shady advice is meticulously going through them one by one. We're so close. So we've got 5 minutes to spare. I don't think I'm going to have time to run another sim. In fact, I'm fairly certain I won't. So these will be the final lineups for me. Just a joke. Just he doesn't share how it works. Okay, here we are. Top lineup: J.J. McCarthy with Aaron Jones, Adam Thielen, Jalen Naylor, Justin Jefferson, Caleb Williams solo again. Maybe the same lineup as last time. Top EV. Looking good. We're not leaving a ton of salary on the table. Looking through just the top lineups here, it's a lot of 49,000 some. We do have one that's 47.7. Do we have any? I'm just going to see if we have any common Nungai lineups toward the top here. Not seeing any immediately. Yeah, don't see any immediately. I am going to download this because I have limited time. So I'm going to go 221 lineups. Make sure I close my other for simplicity. Download this. Go to DraftKings. All right. So my final, 90% JJ McCarthy. All right. We're betting on my boy. All right. 90% JJ McCarthy, 78% Caleb Williams, 51% Justin Jefferson, 51% Aaron Jones, 43% DJ Moore, 36% Adam Thielen, 36% DeAndre Swift, 32% Romo Dunze, 30% Hawk, 24% Jalen Naylor, 24% Jordan Mason. That came down more than I would have liked. 19% Olamide Zacchaeus. If I ran one more, I'd probably try to get to more Zacchaeus there. 18% Komet, 17% Reichard, 16% Loveland, 11% Monungai. Okay, so we're up to 11%. That's all right. I would have liked more, but it is what it is. We're at 9% Vikings defense, 5% Bears defense. I would really like to have more of those numbers. That is disappointing to me. I clearly did that the wrong way, changing the projection instead of changing the. I mean, no, I'm not going to have time for a second. I thought about trying to run one more with fewer lineups, but I'm just going to accept that I'm not playing all the defenses. That's why I'm not playing a ton of money on these showdown slates these days, because it's tough while you're doing a show to you can't just spend all your time on it. But hopefully some of you guys played the defenses here, or actually just hopefully they don't work out. Hopefully it's just J.J. McCarthy crushes the Bears. That would be the best case scenario. No, I don't. I actually, I wouldn't. I'm not going to run more in port because I'm going to watch the game with some friends. So I want to leave immediately after lock. Um, so yeah, I'll do this on another show sometime, Spurious News. But I want to leave right at 7:15 to go watch the game, get some food with my friends out in Minneapolis. So I'm not going to run it right now. But I think we can get out of here. I think that it is close enough to lock. I'll be back on, well, tomorrow I'll be here with Mathology. We're going to be doing the all dog show, trying to win a ticket to the Dog Bowl on Underdog. Thursday, I'll be back in the morning with Adam to dunk on him about Ja'Cory Kraski-Merritt. And then I'll be back in the evening, live before lock, for the Thursday night game as well. So hopefully you guys will join me then. Please, if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, everybody, and I will see you next time.